Good evening, everybody. My name is Dan, and welcome to Let's Talk Games, episode 72. With me, as always, when we actually get on to do the recording, I have with me Uncle Chunt.
Hi.
And Jamie, who's joining us. He's really pushing it to get here this week, so we really appreciate it.
Yeah, massively. I'm not ignoring you. I am doing stuff in the background.
That is fine, boys. Well, let's get it started. We haven't got too long, so we should start with what we've been playing, like we normally do. And Chunt, I'm going to go with you because you've probably already brought up the Xbox list about everything you've played, and we need a relationship status update with however what you've been playing in your relationship. Just go for it.
We haven't actually swapped between many games this time. It's just been like Elder Scrolls Online for about a week now. Pretty solid. I checked on level 26 at the moment on that tonight. So getting up there. I have no idea where in the main quest I am. I checked. I've got no freaking clue. I'm going along for the ride with the lady. She's walking me through the game. But yeah, it's very good. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be honest with you. It's I don't really play MMO games.
Upgrades. You've got those sweet X and S upgrades as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. I prioritized frame rate this time with this game.
Good boy.
Because yeah, I swapped over to fidelity mode, and it's like it is a bit clearer, but yeah, them frames
win games.
Yeah.
Frames win games.
That's about it, really. I haven't really been playing much else.
Jamie, have you managed to get into anything this week?
No, straight no. Play like 20 minutes of Destiny. That's about it. I did build a computer and a keyboard though, so I suppose I could have used that time to, play games, but I was busy building stuff to play games with.
It's a kind of game.
Oh yeah.
Playing
it's it's like a bit like Legos, isn't it? But yeah, I've managed to do nothing but start the this Destiny season, and it was very short-lived.
All right, well, let's keep this going. I've been in massive sporting mood this week. So last week, I finally gave my brother his present, which was Madden 22, and I rocked up to his house, and he gave me Madden 22 as well because he wanted to be able to play with me. So this week I've played 2K, I've played tennis, I've played Madden, and I feel like there was one other sport game in there. So it's just been a week of sports games. Madden 22 is buggy as hell. There's weird shit that happens, like when you're going through the different positions, the same position will rock up again later on down the scroll, and I'm like, that's not where that appears. The little update on the tennis, because I was really determined to play that game. There is a major balancing issue with that game. So as we said last time we spoke, I was trying to play tennis. I would play really, really well, but I just could barely win a game. Like if I was playing on just basic exhibition or 1-star level games, and it would be amazing if I could win one game out of a 3-game set. And I'm like, this is just not working. So I move it down from normal to easy. And in terms of difficulties, you've got very easy, normal, hard, very hard, expert. So I move it down to easy. I'm like, this will be still like competitive, but like I might just get a few more games. Anyway, played it on easy, did not lose a game for about 25 games. So I've gone from barely being able to win on normal to not can't lose on easy. So I'm like, this is not very well balanced. I thought I'd have some type of little challenge still there, but it just, yeah.
Yikes.
That was quite surprising.
Yikes indeed. Well, more power to you.
But we're hoping to play some new stuff soon. But anyway, so I've had 2 weeks off, so there's been a little bit of news pop up here and there. And we're probably going to start with Gamescom, which was last week. So now everything's calmed down a bit, and this is probably also good because the things that were probably announced last week, if they're still with us, they're probably the things that we really actually want to talk about. So, Jamie, I'll lead off with you. If you would be so inclined, what stood out to you from Gamescom?
I think I've deliberated on what the big thing was for me. I actually weirdly think it was Elden Ring. You know, like the people who got to see the behind closed doors thing, and then there was a lot of conversation around, you know, what is it? What does the gameplay actually feel like? And the way that the whole kind of consensus seemed to be, it feels very Zelda. So it's like, yes, that's on my alley. If the combat's a bit more difficult and a bit more Souls-like, that's fine. I don't mind that. They still haven't said anything about scalability in terms of difficulty, knowing from they won't have difficulty scaling. It'll be like it's this difficulty and you either suffer through it or you know, kind of on to the next one. But I liked a lot of what I was hearing, and I know there's a lot of fanboys and a lot of the guys that, you know, the bigger outlets that did get to see behind closed doors kind of were all nerding out about a lot of that stuff, but it got me quite excited for it. The only other thing that I could say, you know, with any kind of excitement was for Halo, and now it's got it got some shiny hardware that looks pretty sick. I did manage to get a controller, which I then cancelled the pre-order of because I was like, that's just a waste of money. You literally have an Elite controller. I don't need a second one. You know, building a PC and stuff like that, graphics cards are expensive, so why on earth should I buy another controller?
I'm impressed.
Trying to be smart with my purchasing decisions rather than just leading into the hype. Other than that, not a great deal. I know there was a lot of indie stuff. It felt like there was a ton of games at Gamescom, but it's like a lot of them didn't really hit home or resonate with me. I think Microsoft's showing was very meh, middle of the park. We were only expecting to see stuff that we know is coming out. And Halo obviously is the big get there. Chant, I know you'll obviously wanted to see the Forza stuff. But yeah, nobody else really hit home for me. Those two things were the things I was like, this is pretty sick. The wild card, which I'm not sure about whether I'm excited for it or I'm just going to completely ignore it, is the what's it called? Midnight Suns, the Marvel game.
Yeah.
I know that was kind of shown at Gamescom, but then, you know, the week following they did that deep dive on it, on the gameplay and everything. So the story, etc. Like, I'm in for that, but I just don't know if I can do turn-based card strategy as my combat because it's not impactful enough. You're not like in it. It's very it doesn't flow. I find that stuff gets very stagnant very quick for my playstyle and how I like to play games. So that's my take from Gamescom and the kind of the following week where we got the deep dive on the stuff.
Well, you mentioned Halo, and I feel like, Chunt, I can pass it along to you, and you can also probably comment on what we are or what we aren't getting on December 8th when the game comes out. How did you feel? Because I know you've been playing through the Halo campaigns with Sarah, ready for Infinite to play through it in co-op, and apparently it's not coming straight away. How did you feel with that announcement?
Oh man, this will be like the first Halo that doesn't launch with co-op. It's just backwards, man. Like co-op goes hand in hand with that game, that franchise. A lot of people's fondest memories are either couch co-op with that or now online. And I'm pretty disappointed about that because we were excited to do that co-op through that if it was possible. But yeah, I'm okay with it just being a solo experience for me, just to enjoy. You know, it's not going to be too disappointed too much, but I do still enjoy playing games by myself. You know, so that's fine. I mean, there's multiplayer there, blah blah blah, but it's only for 3 months or something. I read like the co-op for campaign will come 3 months later or some shit. So it just begs to wonder, like, why? Like, I guess they just wanted to meet this window just to put it out. Finally, just put it out, which is fine. I pre-ordered the collector's edition steelbook just because I've got every other Halo game in the mainline series physically, and I was like, well, Halo Infinite who knows if this is going to be like the last Halo that we'll play for the next decade. I'll just want that. It comes with some shit, some DLC shit, like whatever. It's just a memento. I know it's on Game Pass, but I don't care. But another thing, silly, Forza 5. I'm so excited about that. Forza Horizon 5. I love that series, and I've mentioned it before. Like being set in Mexico just hits it home for me now. But like, it just looks even better. I booted up Forza Horizon 3 the other night just to see the one that's set in Australia. It's still such a good time. And then I booted up Forza Horizon 4 and just see how it's progressed. And that game is like graphically way more impressive. And this looks like it's going to be even better on top of that. And they announced that Collector's Edition or Limited Edition Forza Horizon 5 controller. It's like, yep, okay, I have to. It's none of the color combinations that I'd ever really buy, but I felt obligated to do so. It looks awesome anyway, and I'm keen about that. Like I'm more excited about a controller than a lot of the games that are on this announcement list. The other thing is the Xbox Cloud Gaming coming to consoles. So essentially, your Xbox One units will be able to play Series X and S type content through the cloud. That's pretty cool on console. I think that's a really cool option. It shouldn't be sneezed at, that is for sure. Gunk, I still want to see more about that game. I remember the announcement trailer months ago. I can't remember how long it was when I first saw the announcement trailer for this game, but it's coming out in December, and it looks very interesting. Graphically, it looks really nice. I don't really know much about the game just to really tell, but I am intrigued. Coming to Game Pass, I'm glad I don't have to pay for it. The only other really announcements, like the Halo announcement, I wanted campaign gameplay. We didn't get that. We just got like a random cinematic of some Spartan, and you see the crossover of like where she was and where she's now. Like, she was some kind of, I don't know, freedom fighter or something, and then eventually became a Spartan, like because she was inspired by Spartans that saved her in the cinematic and shit. So yeah, that's cool. I mean, the most exciting thing about that was the release date. I was like, I wanted to see campaign footage, the gameplay footage. We still haven't got that, which is concerning to me, really, considering how close we are to it. And the rest of the announcements are a bit ho-hum. But they did say going into it, there's no major announcements and no major reveals, like just setting the expectations. So the major disappointment for me was that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is getting pushed into 2022. That was on my most hyped game list. I was so looking forward to that. But yeah, that's Gamescom from me. That's all I've got.
Well, can I reinterject that before you jump in, Dan? Because I forgot something criminally important. Before Gamescom started, like an hour before, Bungie dropped an absolute jizz-worth load of what's going to happen in Destiny for the next year. Is that technically Gamescom?
Yeah.
I mean, it was an hour before opening night live, wasn't it? So, like, damn. Like, Witch Queen looks phenomenal. John, I know you were looking at pre-orders for it as well. I'm happy to see that you're keen on that. We get, like, a melee weapon. We can fucking, like, basically sword fight. The sword fights are coming to Destiny, but it's with a glaive to start with. And yeah, the stuff they're doing for their anniversary, some of the merch that they're making, like Bungie leaving Activision is the best thing that ever happened to that company. We've deliberated before, like, will they get back in bed with Microsoft? I think they're very happy on their own. I think they're making a lot of fucking money on their own because the future looks very bright. They announced the DLC, like they basically got a 3-year plan all the time now. We know what's coming for the next 3 years, and it's like every year they're like, oh, and the next year after that's going to be this. They're building to their Thanos moment, as they were saying. So, like, I'm so fucking hyped for that. That's what got me most excited. Bungie building to their Thanos moment. The 10-year Light and Darkness saga is coming into its last arc, and it's like, fucking give me it now. Sorry, just needed a Destiny nerd. Now you can tell what got you excited.
Totally forgot about that. Well, good call.
No, that was probably the biggest excitement out of the three of us for that week. My thing that I noticed at Gamescom was that everything's coming out in 2022 because games like Sifu, which I was excited for, they announced that release date, which is 4 days after Forbidden West, and I'm like, well, fuck, damn it. I've been saving up my pennies, and they're all going to come at once. Midnight Suns, which you mentioned, Jamie, I'm the same. Like, a lot about it is very curious. I thought the trailer was cool. I like that you can create your own Marvel hero to play in this story with other heroes and also play as them. But yeah, the turn-based thing, I just don't know, like the tactics. That's why I asked you, Chunt, during the week about Gears Tactics. Like, is it just the fact with like tactics games is that you need the world to interest you enough to get into it?
Yes.
And once the world is easy enough for you to get into, then it's just about learning the mechanics. Like, that's what I'm curious about, and that's coming out in March. I think, Jamie, you sent through a trailer to us which blew our minds because it was every game imaginable in one in that Doki V.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Trailer.
Yeah, what the fuck is that game?
It just kept going, and I'm like, I'm seeing gameplay mechanics from like every big game since 2015, from Zelda to God of War to Horizon to, like, it's just everything is in that game, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm actually doing in this game. There's just everything in it. So that was weird. Those were the things that stuck out. The Halo thing as well. I did see what was cool about the campaign co-op in Halo. So there's like, you're going to get it in like the season 2 of its version of a live service, and it has like a battle pass, which even after the season ends, you can still play. You can still play it, which I was like, oh, that's just Xbox doing a nice, good thing for the people playing their games. I'm like, that's quite nice. Good job, guys.
Oh man, the
Not
fact that
also
the
other people that we won't mention.
Oh,
Well, we might mention.
yes.
Yeah. So that's all I had though. But pretty much 2022 is going to be not good for my pockets. There'll be a bit.
We didn't even talk about the Halo like console really at all. Like, we kind of just threw it away. He's like, yeah, there's a new controller and console. Yep, cool. I must say, I didn't really like the design of it, to be honest. I mean, I didn't mind the star stuff on top, but overall, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really do it for me. The controller, the Elite controller that Jamie cancelled, looks sick as hell though. Holy shit!
It does. It was a very moment of be a grown up cancelled.
Yes.
Like, because I was very much happy with it, but it's too near to Christmas. All the rest of it, like, just nah.
It's sold out. All that shit sold out here in Australia within, like, I think I saw. I think it was Press Start said it sold out in like half an hour or some shit, like, or less. All that
Did
stuff.
you try and
You
get
guys
the
don't
Forza
ever-
one,
You
Chunt?
never get stock.
What?
There was a Forza one too, wasn't it? Didn't you try and get the Forza one?
Yeah, I pre-ordered the Forza Horizon 5 controller. Shit, yeah, I did. Oh yes.
That was the other one.
That's not an elite one though, is it? That's just a regular
Yeah.
kind of reskin of the normal controller.
It's standard, yeah, but it's like translucent yellow, and like the back of it's got like rubber grips, like a steering wheel kind of texture on it, and yeah, it looks like a
Sounds
Mexican color flourish. Yes, had to have it.
Yes.
Well, Jamie, you kind of touched upon it a little bit about Sony. There's a little bit of Sony news coming through next week and also today with Horizon Forbidden West. Sony, with their PlayStation 4 and their PlayStation 5 version, you can't upgrade. You buy one or the other, and that's your choice. So, Chunt, I'm going to let you go first. And we'll go through the gambit here. And give us your thoughts on I guess why do you think they're doing it this way compared to, say, the director's cuts or the Spider-Man? Like, why do you think they're going this way, and what the reason could be? And I'm assuming we all don't like it.
Well, it's as if they're purposely going out of their way to make it as difficult as possible for their consumers to understand what version they can get and how they can get it, or what they need to do to get it, and what version they buy actually plays on what console that's out. Like, it's just needlessly complicated I briefly read over it and I was like, this is dumb. It's just another dumb decision. And you see all the posts out of saying like smart delivery. It's a proven concept. Yes, yet again. Like there's literally I don't know all the story behind the scenes, right? But they must have their reasons for doing it. And the reasons that I can think of are all just dumb. It's all just corporate like red tape or something, or like there's contractual agreements or what, I don't
It's
know.
just money grabbing.
Exactly,
That's all it
100%.
is. Just money
It's
grabbing.
just why would you? It makes zero sense. Let your consumers just own one license to the game and you download it on whatever platform. PC's been doing it for generations, man, and it's.
Yep.
I love smart delivery. It's the best. People like shat all over it when it was announced. They're like, it's never going to work. It's so confusing. All that argument that went around. All the talking heads on YouTube are like, how am I going to smart delivery? I don't understand. It's like, fuck off, man. You just buy it once and you just put it on whatever you've got. It's that simple. Yeah. I could go on and on and on, and it's a conversation we've had time and time again when Sony keep doing stupid shit like this. And here we are again. I don't know how you would feel about it, Dan. I know you're going to tell us, but this must be very frustrating. Like, it probably doesn't affect you much, but like, just to see this continuance of stupidity from the platform of your like enjoyment,
Yeah, it does. It does start to feel after a little while like I'm Neo, like just dodging bullets, left and right a lot of this time because I'm like, oh, that doesn't affect me, but God, that was close. Or, the only reason I can think of for why they would do this is knowing that it's coming out in February. They must have like internal data that they think they're going to have enough PlayStation 5s out there. So if people say, oh, I want to buy Horizon, but I don't want to buy the PS4 version when I'm getting a PS5, because the idea is they will be able to say, well, there's a PS5 out there and you can go get the game with it as a PS5 version. But if they're still short supply, you can't say that. So they must have some understanding. And I don't know if it's got to do with whatever this new SKU that they have released. Like maybe they think they can get more out there quicker and that there will be ones on shelves, so to speak. But apart from that, it doesn't make any other logical sense to me. I don't understand anything behind that. Jamie, please interrupt me.
I don't get the logic. Like I don't understand. That just to point to Chunt, you said about smart delivery being like amazing. It is, and I saw like you guys know Paul Tassi writes for Forbes. You see his video game articles come up quite a lot. He put a tweet out the other day, and it was like me, like in like 2019 or whenever Xbox announced smart delivery, going, "What is smart delivery, and why do customers even need to know about it?" It's like me today. Smart delivery is the best thing in video games, and it's like, yeah, because like it just avoids this shitty rhetoric that you've got all these different versions and you have upgrade paths and they just fucking cash grab. I sold my PlayStation this week. That's how bothered I am. Dude. Like I do not give a fuck. Like I'm just so over the bullshit. Also, I could make good money for it and I needed a graphics card. To the point that you made, I mean, I guess I'm kind of happy that, Sony clearly do think that they're going to have enough PlayStations in the wild come Horizon, which is good because that's when I'll actually want one, and hopefully if I can get one for retail, then I'm quids up. Fair dues. I know I'll have one in the future. I still want to play things like Horizon, but mate, at the minute, like there's no reason to even be part of their platform. There really isn't. I was started thinking, I was like, oh, I've got Key ordered, and it's like I've been looking forward to that all year. I can buy it on Steam, like, and play it with fucking ray tracing and way better experience anyway. So like, it's like, what am I actually hanging this around for? Other than to pay Sony an extortionate amount of money for experiences I can have most places else. Because when you look past Horizon, Spider-Man, God of War, I don't see them having anything that's going to keep drawing people and making them spend the money that they're asking people to spend. Goes to Tsushima, oh yeah, but you need to if you've got a PS5, you need to basically pay us again so you can use all the funky features. It's like, I paid for those features when I bought the machine. Why am I paying you every time that I want to use those features? Like there's so much that they're doing wrong, like so much that they're doing wrong, and I'm just bored of it. And I don't know who it is. If it's Jim Ryan, we assume it is because he's a fucking snaky cunt. that's kind of giving this directive down. It could be coming from Japan. Like, we don't know, but whatever it is, like, they just need to sort it out. You know, when we were talking before, you're like, so let's just have a bit of a more casual chat and catch up because we've not done this for a few weeks. Like, I straight up don't want to talk about the news about Sony because it's always fucking negative. When was the last time we sat and was like, PlayStation did a really good thing?
Astrobot.
When was that? No, but even that, it's like, yeah, it's good, but they included it with the machine. Wicked, well done them. Like, but it was to show off the technology that they're now nickel and diming everybody to use every time they buy a game.
Yeah,
I'm not there for it. Like, they need to make some serious changes. But again, I'm getting irate and wound up, which is not what I want this to be about. So yeah, unless either of you have anything more to say about Sony and their crooked ways, let's move on.
I want to bring up one little theory that I came up with, and it's a little bit about Sony's, what I call like money pinching parts. And I like that you mentioned like the directive down, because I think we've had two stories in the last few months which just kind of connected when I heard them both. So one was the story that we know about the Last of Us remake that they're making, and the other one was a story that came out from Polygon the other week about the Manchester studio that Sony closed in 2020 after being open for 5 years. And in both articles, both by different people, so Bloomberg was the first one, they mentioned that Herman Holst, the former head of Guerrilla Games, was named head of PlayStation Worldwide Studios in November 2019. He thought the remake was too expensive, according to people familiar with it, and asked why the budget for it was so much higher than the other remakes that they had made. So there's one example of that. And then in this Polygon article with this Manchester studio, so they opened in 2015. They were working on this game up until 2019, and they were still in alpha mode. They still hadn't, there was about 45 people at the studio, and then they still hadn't got past their alpha. And it was a AAA VR game where you were basically flying a rescue helicopter and rescuing people, going back to your home base, upgrading things and going out, flying and doing missions like that, which actually sounds pretty cool. But in that same article, that in 2019, it says in November, Herman Holst comes in and is managing the internal teams and basically looks at it, gives them November to February to like pitch the game about what's going to happen, and they end up closing down the studio because it's been running for 5 years and hasn't done anything. So, which is interesting because we always talk about like Horizon and God of War about, you know, these are games that were worked on for like 5 years and look how good they came out. But then you have like Manchester Studio that work on a game for 5 years and don't even get out of alpha, and hence they shut it down. But I really think in 2019, this directive, now, it obviously, Herman Holst is at the front of it because he's leading all the internal Sony studios, but I think there must have been a directive to be like, let's cut the fat and let's focus on the things that are working, which is why we continue with the Miles Morales and these director's cuts and all this. So I still have positive thoughts, and we're about to go into what we want out of the Sony showcase this week. But I think people are going into this Sony showcase and they're like, I want to see a little bit of God of War, and I want to see Last of Us multiplayer game, or maybe Spider-Man or more Horizon stuff. I don't think we're getting stuff that's that big. And I've spoken for a little bit now, but Chant, what do you want to see? What would excite you in this? Because there are games that you want to play on PlayStation eventually. So what do you want to see out of a conference from Sony?
I'm one of those people that wants to see some God of War, something. You know, whether it's just a proper cinematic tease or something where you get to see like the next step of the story and just, you know, a couple of characters or Kratos doing something, and that's it. I don't expect gameplay to come out of it, but you know, I don't think we'll see any new IP in this. I really don't. Like, not a new one. Is anyone actually asking for the Last of Us multiplayer stuff? Like, really? You know, I'm sure there might be a handful of people out there, but like, I honestly have no idea, because what we know that's coming is years away. like the next Spider-Man is fucking ages away. God of War, who knows? Horizon 2, we know what the date is for that. Like, what else really is there that they're going to revisit, man? Like, Ratchet and Clank's already come out. What other, I don't know. Like, what other their big, what are their other big franchises that they haven't already announced stuff for? I want some surprises. Like, there's stuff that I would like, but I want new stuff. I'm sick of these like remasters and remakes and like DLC like expansions and just mixed messaging, like the Final Fantasy VII remake, how they made the Intergrade PS5 exclusive for some reason. Like they said it could only run, or the vision they wanted for this expansion would have only run on PS5 hardware. It's like, no, I don't think so. I really don't. Like, I watched the playthrough of it and I was like, there's no way that could not run on a PS4. Like, it just could. And it's such a disservice to the people that supported that game on PS4 to make that an exclusive on a separate system. I don't know whose decision that was. I think it's all bullshit, and I want to see less of that. I want to give Sony the benefit of the doubt. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I want Sony to be like, all right, this is not only for the fans, but this is for the chunks out there that we want to like show that we are turning a corner here and doing some good shit. But if you really had to like put a gun in my head and what I really only wanted to see it's God of War. That's the reason I bought a PS3 back in the day, and it's half the reason I bought a PS4 just to play that game, which I barely got. Yeah, I barely got like a few hours into it, But I will go back to it. I just don't think it was the right time for me to play that game. But PS5 is that's going to be the game, I think, besides Spider-Man, to tie me over to buy one if I can get one at a good price. But yeah, I'm open to surprises, man. We'll see.
Jamie, give us a positive note. What are you hoping for?
Horizon. Like, I'm happy to see more of Horizon. I don't care to see more of God of War. I think that's what will be shown. I think it will be Horizon, God of War, this Last of Us remake, or the whatever. There'll be something Last of Us there. If it's the multiplayer thing or the remake or whatever, they'll show that. And then that, what was it? Is it called Project Athia or something that got a new name? Like, it got an actual thing. I think we'd see more of that. And then some of the more indie stuff, that have been shown are the other things that are coming this year. I think they'll take a similar approach to Xbox. It'll be, this is the stuff coming for the rest of this year. It's the indie stuff. Maybe we see some more Kena before it comes out later this month. And I think that'll be it. I think it's going to be quite short-lived. I think have they stated how long it's going to be? They've not called it a state of play, right? It is just
it's a showcase.
It's like and
they've said so 40 minutes.
That's as long as their state of plays. It's not a showcase. It's a similar thing. So if it's a showcase, we'll see what's coming for the remainder of this year. We'll see those tentpole titles that are coming next year. And then maybe something like Project Athia. I can't remember what it was called, but it'll get some airtime because it's a console exclusive, right?
Yeah.
But the same as Final Fantasy. Both that game and Final Fantasy 16 are console exclusives, but they're coming to PC. You can slowly start to see why, in my brain, need to have a PlayStation is diminishing with every announcement. I know if I wait long enough, Horizon Forbidden West will come to PC because the first game did and it sold gangbusters. So why on earth would they not do the same thing with the second one? So pretty much then I'm then sat here going, Spider-Man is now the only reason I would ever actually need that machine. And it's like, so they're quickly running out of goodwill. But positive wise, I mean, I think they do need to show something brand new. I agree with Chun. All that we seem to see is remakes, remasters, sequels. And don't get me wrong, Xbox have been just as shitty for that. Like for a number of years, all it was Gears, Halo, Forza, Gears, Halo, Forza. And that's all I
needed, baby.
Yeah, but it's like, to each their own, but it would be nice just to see something new from everyone. Yes. Even with you look at the initiative and it's like, they're working on a fucking quadruple A, whatever the fuck that means, video games, and it's like, but they're rebooting Perfect Dark, an established franchise. I watched an interview, this is kind of off bar, but you'll get the reference, with Ryan Reynolds and Jodie Comer about Free Guy, that's the one. And they were sat there, and like the interviewer said to them, he was like, "Well done for being the only movie this year that is coming out that is not based on an already existing IP." And Ryan Reynolds was joking. He was like, "Don't you mean like the only movie to come out in the last decade that's not based on an already existing IP?" And it's like games could learn from that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, something new, like brand new. Let's give PlayStation a tiny bit of credit. Again, this is total side. It's nothing to do with what they'll show at that showcase, although I do think they will show it. Is the fact that Aloy is in Genshin Impact and free for all PlayStation players, and she'll be free for all Genshin Impact players next month. That's cool to see them put in like a loved character in another game, which they also have exclusivity rights to for some fucking bizarre reason. Like that game should just be everywhere. It's on phones for God's sake. Like why is it not on an Xbox? But who knows? Maybe Tokyo Game Show. Hey.
Oh yes. Oh, maybe. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some half positive stuff, but I really don't think we're going to see anything that's going to blow anybody away.
No, and as I said, I don't think the big stuff's going to be there. I actually don't think Spider-Man 2 is that far away. I feel like if COVID didn't happen, we probably would be getting it next year because it would have been almost 4 years since the first one, and they had a separate team work on Miles, so
I think it's a 23 game for sure.
Yeah, so I think it's probably pushed to 23, so we won't see it there, but
the sooner the better. That shit is awesome.
We'll see it next year.
Yeah,
it'll get shown at E3 next year.
And that's what I mean. I don't feel like games like The Last of Us. Like my theory is they're going to release The Last of Us director's cut, and it's going to have the multiplayer. It's going to have Part 2 and Part 1 remake all together. I think that's what they're aiming for, and I don't think they would show that off here. They might announce it, but not really show anything of it. They might. There's talks about like Uncharted collection with all of the Uncharted games on PlayStation 5. That might be a thing. But I was trying to rack my brain that the only stuff we would see new is if there are these teams that we've heard about at these studios like Guerrilla and stuff like that we have never been officially announced, and they show off something. So like the Guerrilla Games guy that came from Rainbow Six, like if maybe they show that off, stuff like that. The only things I could come up with was NBA 2K22 will be there. It was in the showcase last year. The next 2K comes out in about a month, so that's perfect time for them to show off some gameplay of it, and there's been some articles. Square Enix, Jamie, you mentioned it. There's the Project Athia and there's the Final Fantasy 16, both of which they could show. I wasn't sure. I can't remember if this series. I was thinking of like what's stuff that they've released in the past that they could bring. I was like Ni no Kuni. I was like that has a little small fan base. They could be releasing another Ni no Kuni. It's been about 3 years.
Rapper the Rapper, man. Seriously.
Who knows? Who knows what's soon? What else? Ghostwire Tokyo could be there. I don't want to see any more Deathloop. Deathloop has been at every freaking thing. I'm sick of seeing it. It comes out in a couple of weeks. I don't need to see it anymore. Kind of the same with Kena. I just want Kena to come out. I don't need to see any more of it. I'm sold. I'm ready.
Yes.
Polyphony Digital Gran Turismo. I thought they might be able to actually show off. That's one of the games that was going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and then they announced it's going to be both PS4 and PS5. That's probably going to come out early to mid next year, and I can see that. Surely it's not hard to put a trailer together showing cars driving around a track. Like, surely they can show something to do with that. The other one I had was London Studio. There's talk about them not just making a VR game this time, but actually a game for the PlayStation 5. And those were the rumors of the Getaway and stuff. And then I think there is a Konami something going to appear. I don't think it's like everyone's looking for Silent Hill or freaking Metal Gear Solid or any of this shit. But I do think it's something. Like, even if it's like a Castlevania game, and it might not be an exclusive, but it's just something that they show. because Castlevania is really popping off in the last couple of years, especially with the Netflix show, and they're trying to re-release all of their old school stuff lately, Konami. So it wouldn't surprise me if they had something there with their portfolio.
What if they just port over that last Castlevania mobile game and just port that over to PlayStation?
Konami is as curious as Sony is, so it's a perfect match.
Yeah, 100%.
But
I would laugh.
That's but those are the ones I had trying to figure out. But as I said, I don't think there's anything hugely big, and people need to temper, because every single one of these conferences, people need to temper.
There's about to be a power vacuum. Smash Brothers is about to end, right? There won't be another Smash Brothers game after Ultimate. I guarantee you. Even, what's his name? Can't remember his name. The guy that made it. He's like, this one's too big to top over. We can't do it bigger than this. PlayStation All-Stars has a chance to come and claim that crown.
Gone.
Man.
We can cut it off at that comment. And thanks.
Aren't Nickelodeon doing a brawler? I saw that came out at Gamescom.
That looks sick. That actually looks good. The animation.
Yeah. Well, they do nothing but fucking animation, Nickelodeon, don't they?
Yeah.
So it should be pretty good. Can I just point out? I know we spoke about Horizon. I was just curious and looking at the upgrade path, because my knowledge from yesterday, when everybody was losing their minds about it, was that you had to just buy a PlayStation 5 version. Like, if you bought it on PS4 and then you just had to buy it on PlayStation 5 if you wanted it there. Sony have announced that there is a digital deluxe edition that has both the PS4 and PS5 license, and it will cost $79.99. The same in the States. It's $80 in the States. So for you guys, fuck knows what that is, like $150 probably. To make sure that you have access to both the PlayStation 4 and 5 versions. The saves will not be cross-compatible.
Oh my god.
Also, there's weird shit in there, like Digital Deluxe, you get like extra like photo mode poses and shit. So like you get photo mode with the regular version, but you get like extra poses if you get the Digital Deluxe. And I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on?
That's retarded, man.
It really is. It's stupid.
Thanks. But I have got shit to do. My lunch break is 100% over, and I've got several focus groups this afternoon, so I better go and prepare for them.
Cool.
It was a nice.
Thanks for joining us, boys, for episode 72. I will see you next week.
Right on.